Bush, Esquire, and I'm heavy on the black.
Attorney advocates for small business owners and those looking to leave a legacy. Listen, the headline couldn't be more plain about the passion of Stevaughn Bush, Esquire. Stevaughn is a New York native who relocated to the Washington, D.C. area to set his sights on law school after inspiration from none other than the first Black and forever President Barack Obama. After graduating from Howard Law, Stevaughn has kept a steady pace in helping families to grow through estate planning while also grooming individuals to soar as small business owners through his small business counseling and small business litigation. Listen, we need you to tap in as we explore the world of an Esquire who's on fire. Hey guys, welcome to Heavy on the Black, where we have convos for the culture. Today, I'm super excited about our guest, Stevaughn Bush, Esquire. That's right. We have someone who is helping us to establish legacy and then protect it. I want you guys to give a warm welcome for our guest, Stevaughn Bush. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Ferguson. So I am just so elated to be on this podcast at the moment.
Oh, well, we're glad to have you. Listen, it's not every day that we get blessed by the best from HU, but, I'll let you tell that story. Let's actually get into that because, when we met, it was more so founded on supporting another entrepreneur. Yes. And who's also going to be on the show soon. And I'm happy about that. But we realized that we have something very special in common. We're both Howard alumni.
Absolutely. Both Bison.
Right? So tell us, how did you come to Howard? Let's kind of start with that story. How did you get to HU?
Oh, man. So my journey to HU is the most non-conventional, or one of the most non-conventional journeys. Only because, so I grew up in a predominantly Black town in New York called Mount Vernon. And so, Mount Vernon didn't really have a lot of access to collegiate resources. And so I was kind of funneled into a PWI at first, the University of Bridgeport, and then I made my way to CUNY Baruch in New York City. And then I had a girlfriend who went to HU, funny enough, and she said, Stevaughn, you know what? You're all about your people. You're all about Black power, all that good stuff. You would love HU. And at first, I'm not going to lie, at first I was like, what? Howard? Isn't it like a school of just Black people? What? I'm Black. What do I need to go to a Black school for? But I warmed up to the idea, and I found myself at Howard Law after I graduated from Baruch, and that's literally my journey to Howard, and it's literally been the best journey, best collegiate journey that I could have had.
Absolutely. Look, I was listening. I was like, it's always a woman that's going to point us in the right direction, right?
Good. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad that she did. So when you got to Howard, like in Howard Law specifically, well, first, let me back up. Did you go? No, you didn't go undergrad to Howard.
I didn't go
law school.
I wish I would have went undergrad, but I did not go undergrad.
Listen, we're trying to stay in school. Sometimes Howard undergrad is a lot. It's a lot. You got to come with a purpose. Like, okay.
I heard.
Yeah, I didn't go to Howard undergrad either. I went for pharmacy school and that was that. But
damn,
I'm glad.
Congratulations.
I want to graduate. It's rough. But listen, so how did that make you feel once you were planted in a HBCU, albeit a professional program? How did that transform your life? How did you come to have this affection for law and for Black businesses within your practice?
Yes. So the reason why I pursued law in the first place was because if you ask anybody that knows me, they'll tell you, my role model has always been Barack Obama since I saw him at 16 years old. And, I saw him, I looked, I said, what did this Black man do to get to this level? And I saw that he went to law school. And so by the time that my ex-girlfriend had mentioned Howard, I just connected the two things. And going to Howard was especially precious for me because I got to learn about the Black letter of the law, right? Literally the social justice aspect of the law, the part of the law that they don't tell you about in PWIs. And so, you know, that was really my experience. I lived it thoroughly. I learned about the greats such as Thurgood Marshall, Charles Hamilton Houston, folks like that. They really inspired me to, you know, go on another journey that I took, which is becoming an Alpha, member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Absolutely. And so it just literally all unfolded for me in such a beautiful way. And I think your other question was, how did I get involved with Black businesses? So when I got out of law school, mind you, I went to Baruch. So I never really gave it credit for how it shaped my business views and my business perspectives. But being a business school in New York, it definitely showed me that, you know, entrepreneurship, management, things like that. Look, if you're talking about prosperity and advancement, you got to talk business. And so when I got into the field, it was really just a no-brainer for me. I wanted to help people really sort out their finances because before that, I was doing Medicare work, which is healthcare. And so, you know, I really saw folks just being drained by healthcare expenses, you know, the system systematically doing what it does. And I saw a light in business and in entrepreneurship. And so I wanted to help other folks along their way legally, you know, to make sure that they could find their prosperity.
I love that. And I love it especially because it's coming from you. And the reason I say it's coming from you and someone that looks like you is because we don't have a lot of advocacy for us. One, two, from a Black man. You know, you guys are a commodity, right? You know, we don't see as many African-American men who are taking the role of going to law school in the first place, to being passionate about entrepreneurs and really pouring back into the community to make sure that, again, like we're having this financial astuteness, that we're making sure that we're leaving a legacy, and then also showing us how, again, to protect that. So that's really an awesome thing. And I love to see it. And I was really excited to have you on because of that. So when during your work, and I know we're kind of moving fast through your story here.
No, we can move at whatever pace.
Oh, thank you so much.
Here.
I know, you know what, my heart is like yours. Like, I love entrepreneurs, but one of the things that I've realized, and you probably have seen even more than I have with your background, is that we don't know how to do good business. And I don't mean that we're unprofessional. I don't mean any of those things. I mean, we're not taught how to do business, period, really. Like, you can go on any website and become a business owner in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But to really know and understand what you don't know, how you should do it, the etiquette, how do you, like, what types of clients do you see, and what level of support have you had to help them with to be right where they need to be?
Yes. So I think I often underplay the experiences that I've had leading up to becoming a barred attorney. So I did do, you know, entrepreneurial workshops, things like that. I didn't do a lot of them, but you know, I got the gist of it. And what I learned was that your business, especially on the entrepreneur level, your business is you, and you have to nourish yourself in the ways that you want people to view your business. But most important, you have to be satisfied with your own business. It has to be something that you want to get up and do every day. And not only that, you know, just off of the personal level, what I find is that a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners, what they are really lacking is a larger platform to get their product out, their ideas out, things like that. And so one of the things that I try to do to supplement the legal infrastructure that I help folks build, because that's important too, right? Making sure that if you get an LLC, shoot, try to get an operating agreement, right? If you, you know, if you deal with employees, make sure that you have contracts in place that make sense. If you deal with vendors, make sure that you have contracts in place that make sense. But apart from that, you know, I think one of the things that I realized so far is that, you know, yes, a lot of Black folks are learning business for the first time, learning the language of business for the first time. But look, it just comes down to being a good person more often than not, being somebody that somebody wants to be around, right? You know, your brand doesn't spread if you're mean, right? Your brand doesn't spread if you're not personable. And so it's really the soft factors as well as, you know, the legal factors that I try to help folks with.
And we need that. You know, there, like you said, there's no business brand unless there's a personal brand. Now, I know at some point, right, if we do it right and we do it long enough, hopefully the brand will outlive us and push past us. But in those foundational years, those first few years, it's really important that we are building personal brands because it's our integrity that's on the line, right? And the way that we conduct our business is ultimately how others are going to see the work that we do, the products that we provide, the services that we give. So yeah, no, that really is important. Wow. So what types of clients do you typically see now in the entrepreneurial space? Primarily, what are they coming to you for?
Yes, so I have 4 practices. So I have
4 practices.
yeah,
I love it.
I have a legacy planning practice, and I work on wills and trusts. Oftentimes, the folks that I work with are either older, right? They have you know, some kind of goal that they want to accomplish for their generational wealth, or they're younger and they're forward thinking, and they know that this is the way that, you know, the Trumps have done it, the Vanderbilts, the Carnegies, the Rockefellers, and they want to chart their own path. And so I help them get started with that. On the with my other practices, I do probate, which is the other side of legacy planning. And that's just making sure that somebody's legacy is intact, right, after they pass away. A lot of things go on behind closed doors with our assets after we pass away. And, you know, I know that if folks saw what the aftermath was, they would be upset, right? And so I help, you know, make sure that the proper decisions are made with regards to people's assets. My other 2 practices are litigation. So, you know, just making sure that I back up whatever I say, right? So literally, if we do some operating agreements, if we do some contracts and there's some like disputes, well, we have a head start on what the dispute is and making sure that we're in a great position. And we've been getting great results in that regard. And lastly, the Small Business Council and the clients that I've been getting in that space have been rather seasoned entrepreneurs. One of my, you know, the clients that I'm most proud of is a woman who and her husband who run a daycare center, an early learning center, Tip Top Tots Early Learning Center in Maryland. And man, they are just doing astounding work. And I do, you know, work like that for most of my clients.
Wow, that's really cool. You know, it's so important, and I feel like it's probably downplayed a lot, the important role that attorneys play for small businesses. You know, a lot of times we think probably that third business that you have, or practice that you have when we're talking about litigation, and we only think, okay, let me be more reactive when we should be taking a posture of being more proactive.
Yep, absolutely.
Right?
When you're proactive, there's less of a chance for you to have to be reactive. And that's just the way our legal system works. When you have your documents in place, people, okay, you got your documents in place, I'm not gonna, you know, test the waters. When you don't have your documents in place, that's when, you know, all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, and you know, it's so funny, you were talking about probate and things like that, and I've been on that side. And they say, you know, families only come together when somebody dies, when somebody gets married. But most of those are also the contentious pieces, right? You know, you didn't know this one said that, they didn't do this. Or let's put it in frame of entrepreneurs. You know, you have so many entrepreneurs that are out and they're making money but they're not saving it appropriately. It's not until typically something drastic happens, or God forbid they lose their life, where people are like, wait a minute, they didn't have this, they didn't have that. Think about like DMX and all of these performers. I'm just so like, oh my goodness, like you had all of this money, you didn't think to protect it?
Unfortunately, I think we have this idea that, hey, once I leave this earth, it is what it is. Everything, is going to handle itself or not handle itself. But, I think we have to be forward thinking a little bit better, a little bit more than we are now, because these have lasting consequences on families. Families break apart literally because nobody knows what's going on and everybody wants to argue. So,
Yeah, no, it's really sad, and it's something that's prevalent. And if I see one more GoFundMe, Lord have mercy. I mean, I'm here for it if people really need it, but I feel like a lot of that could be like avoided if we just do things the way that we need to do them. So let's put a lot of people. I feel like a lot of people who are going to watch this, right? They are entrepreneurs. Whether they're new in business or they're seasoned entrepreneurs. What are the few documents that you feel like are foundational, that no matter what type of business you have, entrepreneurs really need to hone in and ensure that they have their businesses protected?
Yes. So I'm going to go ahead and just start off with a trust. A trust, it could be a business trust, but does not have to be a trust. And I say a trust because I know a lot of people are familiar with a will, but a trust is, and we were just talking about being proactive. The trust is really the more proactive document because it consolidates and centralizes all of your assets, and you leave the directions as to what you want to happen with those assets. And it gives you a measure of flexibility and control over what you're doing that, I don't think that any entrepreneur should be without. So a trust/business trust is the first thing that I would say.
Quick question.
And then
I'm sorry, quick question. Is a trust or business trust, are those the same things? Are they synonymous, or are they two separate types?
So they're not synonymous. They're both trusts, right? But a trust, it can be a more personal thing, right? You can just have a trust for your assets, whatever. But the business trust, it really, I think, crystallizes what you want to happen within your business. So, let's say, for example, you have a certain direction or vision for your business. You can literally put that into the trust to make sure that that remains the case. So I'm active on Instagram, and one of the clips that really resonated with me, it was one of the entrepreneurs who's like on Shark Tank, one of those guys, and he said, look, the Swiss company that makes watches, apparel, all of that stuff, it's run by a trust in Switzerland. And literally, the trust is the thing that makes the business decisions about what happens with the brand, what happens with the product. And then he said something that was very poignant at the end. He said, they're never going to change no matter who Mr. Right is, right? And I think that that's so powerful for Black people to understand, because more often than not, when we pass away, our businesses like die and wither and whatever happens to them, right? And it should not be the case, especially because we're just so talented. We're so, entrepreneurial, and we make literally lemonades out of lemon, right? And we got to encapsulate that spirit in the trust.
Wow. So, okay. So I'm glad that you told me that, because I didn't realize that or maybe I thought that somehow they were synonymous. So that's something that I learned about that. And then after having a trust, what do you feel is the next most important document to have?
Yes. So an operating agreement, like I said, definitely very important, because the operating agreement is the contract that you have on your business. How things are distributed, how power is distributed, how, things are voted on or not voted on. And when you go to court, that's going to be the thing that either helps you or hurts you if you don't have it. So the operating agreement is another really powerful tool. And then I think lastly, what I would say is probably just making sure that if you have any kind of, you know, product or vendor or something like that, just making sure that those contracts are airtight, because again, contractual disputes are the bane of an entrepreneur's existence. And the more receipts you have, the more documents you have, the better off you'll be.
Wow. No, that's really key. And I hope people are taking note of that, because like I said, it's usually one of those dire situations when we finally contact someone like you. I'm excited because you're in this area, and I know that if I need anything, which we do need to talk about a few things, that you're here. But how can people reach you? Because again, this is something that we want to prevent, the need. Unfortunately, I love you, but we want to prevent having to reach out to you in those dire
Oh
situations.
yeah,
So how can
absolutely.
people connect with one of your practices? Because I'm sure, you'll say what state you operate in.
Yes, so I am licensed to practice as of right now in Maryland and in DC. And so getting in contact with me, literally it can be as fluid or as formal as folks want it to be. I'm accessible on Instagram. I have my website, sjbadvocacy.com. People can reach out to me via email, stevaughn@sjbadvocacy.com, or they, can give me a call at 202-810-5506. I'm literally available however folks want to reach out.
Come on. I love that. I love the accessibility. I love everything that you stand for. Again, I'm really pleased that we have an opportunity to connect, but more so because of your heart for entrepreneurs and your heart for legacy building, which is something, again, that is so important. So as you think about that and you think about your career, I want to shift back to you a little bit. What do you feel, or who do you feel has been the most, outside of like a Barack Obama, but like in your immediate vicinity, like how important is community and, having like a sounding board and people that you can connect with? How important is that? And who has been there for you as you've continued to build your business?
Yes, yes. So a lot of folks have been there for me. And, I just think one of the things that entrepreneurs also, especially Black entrepreneurs, need to understand is that, and I don't mean to be morbid about this, but, running a business, doing well in business, it's kind of like war, right? You got to find out who your allies are, who your alliances are, and you got to stick with those folks. Because, there's going to be a lot of folks who don't believe in you. There's going to be a lot of folks who doubt your vision, a lot of folks that want to bring you down for whatever reason. They may have an insecurity that, they're trying to project on you, whatever. And it's going to be the folks who, have clung with you and have seen you at your highs and your lows that are really going to make the difference. And, with that being said, one of my closest friends, literally, she helped me when I was starting my practice, Jessica Bull. I met her at Howard Law, and she also has her own law firm, and she's doing amazing things for people's intellectual property. And so literally, you were talking about a sounding board. She calls me, I call her, and we just, we either exchange ideas, we fuss at each other, we, talk about whatever. But literally, that's my comrade in arms.
No, but we need that though. I feel like we need to be so committed to bringing people with us, and not always from a mentorship perspective, but even from a lens of, what kind of comrades am I going to have? Like you said, it's all about your personal brand and the people that you associate yourself with. And I'm really excited to connect with you again because of your fervor for entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship in general. You said something really important, and it was kind of, people would pass over it, but you were talking about Shark Tank, and that one of the things from that comment that I noticed is that you study other people.
Oh yeah.
You study other people and how they do business, and I think that that's always really important, that we study our craft, that we study how other people, even in different business genres, do what they do. So how do you feel, having connected with some other alumni and even probably in your fraternity and just law students and law makers and just shakers within your industry? Like, how does that make you feel, like, just looking back, like, okay, I made this is the best decision I ever made? But how does it make you feel? Are you in a space where you're mentoring others or sharing, kind of going back and pulling those from behind?
Yeah, so it's a little bit difficult because what I've noticed about people is that, and my mom, and I think you're completely right to say that I study people, and I study the way that people do business, because at the end of the day, what I've learned is that business is a people's business, right? We like to talk about stats, figures, projections,
Yeah.
all of that stuff, make long, complex, drawn out plans. I'm not saying that there's not a place for that, but at the end of the day, it's about that personable touch, that people orientedness that people have, that's going to make the difference. And I always abide by that. And so my mom, she said something that was so interesting to me, because I'm kind of a pie in the sky thinker, very abstract at times. And folks may look at some ideas that I have and say, what? But I promise it all makes sense. And she said, Stev, people don't connect to ideas, they connect to people. And I think that just
Aw.
really, that really just revolutionized how I thought about business. So that's kind of the approach that I like to take. I just like to observe what people like to listen to the market. The market is going to tell you what the market wants, and you can either listen to it or not, but it's going to tell you what it wants.
Come on. I love that. Listen, we can talk to your mom. Listen, that's where that wisdom lies. It's
I'm telling
true.
you.
Yeah, people, they really don't buy products. They buy the people, they buy the story, they buy the feeling, they buy the vibe. And that's the hope, that we do good business, right? That we are leaving a legacy, that we're protecting a legacy, again, more on the proactive side than the reactive side.
Yeah.
And that we're leaving, like, that we're leaving some type of imprint on this world. And I feel like that's truly what you're doing. So I know you have 4 practices, and this question is probably going to seem like so left field, but what's next for you? What's next? I know you got something going on. You from money earning Mount Vernon.
Look, yeah, no, I'm always thinking about my next step, but truly, I have a keen political interest, but
Nice.
my passion just lies in building my law practice. I want to practice before the Supreme Court one day, and I want to show people that, because I want to be transparent on this podcast. I think the way that people look at the law is very limited and narrow-minded. The law literally has the ability to change people's lives in such a profound way, and we think about it just kind of like a cash grab. And I'm not saying that, lawyers don't need to get paid. I'm not saying that lawyers don't get paid, but I think that we often ignore how private practice can really, really impact somebody's life in a positive way. And so I just want to continue building my practice so that I can do that for folks, and, just make sure that they have what they need to be successful.
I love that. I do. I just see your heart oozing all over the place. I think, but in a good way, because we need people who are serious about making change, and people who are really serious about implementing. Because when we think about most of our Black men, unfortunately, we're on the completely other side of the law.
Yeah.
And thinking about being heavy on the Black, I mean, like, literally, we are not positioning ourselves to advocate for ourselves because we don't know the law. We don't know what things work in our favor. And we're just kind of out here, a little willy-nilly and not really taking things seriously. And so, I really appreciate what
and
you're
to your
doing.
point, and I don't mean to interrupt you. I just
No,
literally want to
please.
just say this
Absolutely.
point. When I started my law practice, so in the law world, there are like, maybe 10 or 15 firms that are considered like the best firms in the United States, and everybody wants to either get a job at this firm or be retained, or retain this firm, whatever. And literally, when you look at the list, not a Black firm in sight, not a Black firm in sight. And that's troubling because, just to your point, that means that we have no legal protection that is genuinely invested in, whatever we're creating. And that, as you already know, is already problematic. And so that's really what I want to build my firm up to be.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You said this actually earlier, we have so much genius within us and we're always creating things. And have you seen, also I guess a question, have you seen instances where people's intellectual property has been, really taken and gone, or do we not have enough protections typically that you've seen where we can't even defend ourselves for the things that we've created? Or have you seen it more so where people have created things and others have infringed on that and you've had to defend that? Like, what's the landscape look like there?
Yeah, so I don't do IP, but what I have seen, and when I talk to Ms. Bull about some of the things that she sees, we just don't know what we don't know. And I think this is just a human thing, but we also think that we do know what we don't know. And so there are a lot of mistakes in protecting our things if we even have the wherewithal at all to do it. And so it's just a lot of confusion, a lot of misinformation, a lot of disinformation. And I really do feel like lawyers have a special place in sorting all of that stuff out for the general public.
No, it's true. It's so funny. Once I realized that, I didn't really own my brand until I got trademarked, I still don't know everything about it, but what I do know is that I have a trademark. I probably have
You got property.
Probably have about 8 or 9 trademarks, even for some things that I kind of thought, I may pursue. I just did like a 1B application where I could at least protect it and make sure I had it in case I wanted it, until it's time to prove that I'm using it or however. But really, it does do something for you when you feel like, okay, got my paperwork together. Nobody can come for me, at least not for that, because I at least have this taken care of. So yeah, I think there's a lot of value in, well, obviously in everything that you said, but definitely the legal protections, making sure that we have the integrity with our businesses and that we're, again, like I said, like pulling other people with us and making sure your community, whether it's the people that you impact or the people that you're impacting, are intact. And so, man, this has been really cool.
Look, I'm having a great time. I'm definitely having a great time.
Yeah, same here. I think what we can do now is take a quick break and then we can come back in just a moment. But yeah, you guys stay tuned for more from Stevaughn Bush. Hey guys, hope you are enjoying today's episode on Heavy on the Black, where we have convos for the culture. Wanted to take a moment and pause to just thank Heavy on the Black for being the sponsor for today's episode. You can check out this and more on our website on heavyontheblack.com. Let's get back to the show. Welcome back, guys. This is Heavy on the Black, where we have convos for the culture. If you've been listening, you have been treated to Stevaughn Bush, Esquire, who has been giving us some of the ins and outs, the things that we need to know as entrepreneurs, as well as building your brand and being the person that you want your brand to be like essentially that is the goal. So I wanted to give Stevaughn an opportunity just to share any feedback, any thoughts for entrepreneurs and those who are aspiring entrepreneurs from a legal perspective and just from as a business owner. So Stevaughn, what are your thoughts?
Yes. So I always I'm heavy on trying to impress upon entrepreneurs and would-be entrepreneurs, soon-to-be entrepreneurs, that you have to keep in mind what the end goal is. And if you're an entrepreneur, the end goal is to be passionate enough about something that will make you get up every day to do it, because believe me, it is not easy. It is not easy. There are going to be times when you're just starting out, where you're not getting the traction that you want, or people have criticisms, and you just literally have to push through it and say, well, tomorrow I'll be better, right? And so another thing that I want to say too is that you can't be afraid to market your business. right? The business and marketing are synonymous. No matter how many people you think are not looking at you, no matter how many people you want to look at you, you just have to keep going, because it builds, each move builds on the last move. And entrepreneurship is about momentum. And so I just always, just as a message to myself, as a message to everybody else, just making sure that you stick with it, that you learn, that you grow, and that you do what you have to do to get to the end goal, which I think should be financial freedom, social freedom, whatever, so that you can really influence your life and your family's life and your friends' life, your community's life in the way that you want.
They say about consistency that, people think, things are not working, but you're always working. It's always working in your favor, one way or another, whether it's teaching you, like you said, to keep going, have this resilience in that field, or maybe it's redirecting you somewhere else, but just being consistent.
Just starting and just keeping on going.
Yes. Yeah. And marketing really is so crazy. If you think about the Super Bowl that just happened, right? Rihanna, who is a billionaire with a B, she did that event for free because it's about marketing, right? Mm-hmm. So if a billionaire still is seeing the importance of doing things for free, then we need to consider how we can, in whatever capacity we can, give our gift away. And I think that that's what you're saying also, give your gift away, make sure you're being consistent, make sure that you're marketing your businesses no matter what.
So I don't want to say give it away. I will say give people samples, right? Anytime, and again, this is why it's so important to be your business, to really understand the confines and the dimensions of your business, because people are not buying the product necessarily, they're buying you. Mm-hmm. So it's literally, trying to get in the spaces where people are most receptive to you, right? So
I love that. Thank you so much, Stevaughn, for being a guest and for just sharing and spending some time with us. Again, you all, we're going to put a link in here so that you can connect with Stevaughn. If you're a business owner, if you're an aspiring business owner or even seasoned, make sure that you have all the documents in place that you need to do your business and to do good business and to be a good business owner. Stevaughn will get you straight. Thank you so much for being a part of our podcast today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we have to have you back.
Anytime.
Anytime. All right. HU, look, I'm gonna be leaning on that all the time. Like, come on in the door. Thank you so much, Stevaughn. And thank you guys for watching today. And just remember, stay heavy on a black. Have convos with the Bush. See you soon. Already? Yes, for the hump day. Y'all, I have a special guest from today that we just wrapped, just like every time. And, today's Afterglow is really special because this young man is an African-American man, attorney, who is doing amazing things when it comes to entrepreneurship. He is leading the way with entrepreneurs and making sure that we have a legacy and that we are protecting that legacy. Let me see if I can get him on. Let's see. Let's see if we can get him on. Let's see, are you on? There you are. How are you? Good. Listen, I call these sessions the Afterglow because I feel like we know each other now and we have an opportunity to connect and just kind of share a little bit about you after the interview. So introduce yourself to the guests and let them know who you are.
So my name is Stevaughn Bush. I am an attorney here in Maryland and DC. I do legacy planning, probate, small business counsel, and litigation. And, my primary focus with my practices is just literally to help Black entrepreneurship and Black legacy prosper.
Come on. That's what we one of the things that I really like about your platform is that you're dedicated to making sure that, again, we not only are creating these things, that we're protecting them, and that we are protecting our legacies all at the same time. And if we get in a little bit of trouble, we can still call you and protect ourselves even more. But yeah, it's really important, you know, to talk about how as entrepreneurs we can protect ourselves. So you shared a few tips on the actual podcast, but do you want to share, or can you share with us on here, like some of the main protections that as entrepreneurs, whether you're brand new or seasoned, that you should absolutely have when running your business?
Yes. So in, I guess, highest to, you know, not as highest order. So definitely a business trust or trust of some sort, just to make sure that your assets are centralized, that they're accounted for, that, you know, you have some kind of direction or instruction as to what should happen to them, and that you're proactive, being more proactive than just having a will, as to what should happen to your assets. After that, I believe that I said you should have an operating agreement for your business if you have an LLC, things like that. And that's because you want to have a contract, a basic contract that says what is the legal basis for your business, how people, you know, receive earnings, how people distribute power, how power is received, things like that. You want to make sure that all of that is accounted for in the basic contract that is an operating agreement. And then after that, you just want to make sure that if you have any agreements with third parties, that it's actually memorialized in a agreement of some sort, a written agreement of some sort that spells out what are the rights and obligations of the parties.
You know what? It's so funny. I'm thinking about this now as you were talking. We didn't talk about this in our episode, but what about those relationships, like when you and your friend or your coworker and you guys say, oh, we have this amazing idea, we should do XYZ, like, you need to talk about that up front. Like, what are we doing? Like, we like each other right now, but in case we don't like each other later, what do we need to do?
And I'm going to be honest. So I feel like my perspective on doing business with friends has changed a little bit, only because I do both sides, right? I do the contract part, and I also do the litigation piece. And, you know, when I'm a litigator, when I'm in the courtroom, I'm going for everything, right? And I would never want to be on the other side of a friendship doing that. Yeah. So I do want to just add that little caveat in there. But, you know, just making sure that, and of course, you can't foretell what a dispute is going to look like, right? You can't in advance say that this is what's going to happen. I want to protect against it. But it really does help just to have a basic understanding of how the business relationship should go. And the only way that you can do that is by having a contract of any kind being written down and incorporated into the business.
That's so smart. I've seen a lot of friendships break up because they were in business together. But then there are some people that I've come across that are like, no, I wouldn't want to do this with anybody else, and they're so passionate about it. So I guess, you know, it's sort of dichotomous. Yeah, it's sort of dichotomous depending on what it is that you want to do and who you want to do it with. But that's really important to make sure that you have your legal, like, background, like your foundational, like, whatever we're going to do, it's right in here, and we're going to stick to it no matter what. Paper. I think that'll help save a lot of relationships. Yeah. Well, listen, Stevaughn, being the alpha man that you are, being the attorney that you are, and just the all-around entrepreneur go-to, like, how does that make you feel? You know, so often when I pull it back to being heavy on the Black, we talk about Black men being on the other side of law, but you're on the positive side, right? And how does that make you feel? Like, there should be so much pride, not in a prideful way.
No. Look,
in a great way.
One of the things, so I definitely come from humble beginnings, and I come from a family where, unfortunately, a lot of the Black males in my family, they have been on that other side of the system. And so, you know, one of the things that always just keeps me going is my grandma. And she's a really, you know, heavy person in the education world, and she just loves teaching. And so, you know, her seeing her sons, her grandkids, and all that kind of stuff be on that side, I can tell it pains her. And so one of the things that keeps me going is just, look, you're your grandmother's wildest dreams. She's depending on you, and you're doing a great job. So I just keep that in the back of my mind.
You are doing a great job.
Thank you.
And, you know, yeah, we have to learn how to give our folks flowers while they're here. And it's important to me to give you your flowers because not only are you a man of color who is excelling in his field, you're helping protect other people. We talked about this before too. You're bringing other people with you, and you're making sure that the environment that you're in is conducive for other men to prosper, to see you, like to be an example. Because whether you try to be one or not, you're an example to somebody.
Oh, I'm sorry. Give me one second.
Sure.
Sorry. You can go ahead. I just had some.
No problem. Yeah, we're going to wrap. I just want to say, you know, that people are watching.
Yes.
That people are watching you.
It was a very profound thing that you said. I'm sorry, I just had an interruption.
No, it's okay. No, it's okay. Like I said, I just wanted to give you the flowers because, you know, like I said, we don't see it often, you know, but whether you choose to be or not, you are someone that other people are looking up to, namely Black men, other Black boys, whatever. Like, what does that give you any pressure? Do you feel it? Or is it just like, I'm doing me and whatever they see, they see?
Man, I have a bone to pick with Black men. And you know what? I'm not even going to be too hard on us. The thing is, we just have tremendous egos, and we try to be cool all the time. Look, Black men, if you're listening, stop trying to be cool. Stop trying to be tough. Do what you love. Like, stop trying to be image conscious, all of that. Like, the world wants to see you prosper, and the world wants to see you be you. Just do that.
That's right. You know, we over here clapping for y'all all day, every day. Sometimes right, sometimes not right. We over here just supporting y'all all day. Absolutely. And you also went to one of the best schools. So have you been back? Have you ever, do you ever go back to Howard and do anything, or? So I'm
really just so busy with the practice that, you know, anything that I give myself to, I want to be able to give myself, you know, and be completely present. And just at the moment, I'm just doing so many different things that I haven't been able to do that just yet, but I plan on it.
Well, you know, look, I need to put you on the spot because I'm the same way. I am so busy. I have not really had a lot of time to go back and do anything, mentorship or whatever in that capacity. But, you know, we do what we can. And I think that that's an important part too, to be patient with yourself, to give yourself grace. We give it to everybody else,
you do,
right? But we have to give it to ourselves as well, and realize that we're doing what we can in the space that we can, and to be okay with that. And I had a conversation yesterday. We were talking about rest, and I mentioned this book that I just finished reading. It's called Rest is Resistance by Trisha, I think it's Ramsey. But we've been in this like grind culture for a minute, and it's the way that we were brought up. It's the way that our parents, our grandparents, like we just taught that, you know, our worth lies in all the work that we do. When it's also an opportunity for us to step back, realize that we're doing good, not put more on ourselves. Like you said, don't put that guilt on yourself. Like, just be. Sometimes just being is okay. So I say that to say, in your own time, when and how you do, you still make impact like everywhere you go. Everyone I know that knows you is just like, no, Stevaughn is really a stand-up guy.
Oh, is that what they say? I love that. I love that. Because sometimes, you know, information travels in silos and you never really know
what people are saying, right?
So,
but it doesn't.
If that's what they're saying, thank you.
Absolutely. But we talked about this. You're very conscious about the brand that you put out there. Like you have said that, like, your brand is one thing, but people don't buy products. Yeah. They buy people. We talked about that. Your mom and your grandmother said that to you, and it's so true that we are the face of whatever it is that we want people to see. They're not going to just buy stuff because we have it. They want to be a part of your story. They want to be a part of whatever it is that you're doing. So I say keep up the good work, Stevaughn. We are so rooting for you, okay?
Thank you. And I'm rooting for you. Your podcast is going to blow up. And please don't forget about me when you blow up.
I'm going to need you to do all my legal documents.
Look, I will do it with tender love and care. So you don't have to worry about that.
I'm here for it. I really am. And I'm not above saying that, you know, there is still room for improvement when it comes to that. I'm learning new things. You know, we learn things with business. We talk about that. Like, you don't walk in just knowing everything. You can go on Maryland site or wherever site wherever you're from, become a business owner in 15 minutes. But do you really know what your rights and responsibilities are and your goals and all those things? It takes time. But I received that about the podcast. I'm here for the journalism.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Well, I'm going to walk right on into that. And I just want to say thank you again for taking time to share and to just be who you are authentically and bringing, like I said, bringing the culture with you. We do everything that we do it for the culture so that we can look back, you know, 50 years from now and see that we left our footprints in the sand somewhere and it made a difference for somebody.
That's what it's about. Absolutely. And I thank you for just giving me the time. And again, whenever you have some kind of idea or whenever you need me to participate, I'm down. HU.
You know.
No.
Thank you, Stevaughn. It has been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. And this will be the first of many.
Absolutely.
I'm claiming it. Well, you have a good night. And for all those of you who are watching or watching the replay, make sure that you are following Stevaughn. Stevaughn, please give them your Instagram so they can follow you.
Yes. So my Instagram is Stevaughn, my first name, STEVAUGHN, Stevaughn_ESQ.
Absolutely. Make sure that if you have questions, legal questions about entrepreneurship, about probate, about any type of litigation that you need, please make sure that you are supporting this gentleman. His practice is amazing, not just because he's a Black man, but because he's just excellent at what it is that he does. So we want to make sure that we're reinforcing our own, of course, but we're reinforcing someone that we know has really grassroots in our community. So with that, Stevaughn, have a great evening. Again, so privileged to be able to chat with you and just like form this connection.
Absolutely. Have a great evening.
You too. Talk to you soon.